last year, I think I did a top 10 winter or something of that effect inside. And you said, or one of you said, you know, George, we really miss the outdoor videos. And I pointed out, I think, quite understandably, I don't want to do the outdoor videos in winter because it's what is going on with this phone? I don't want to do the winter videos in winter because I live in Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland. And you replied, fuck off. We want to see you freeze your balls off. And so here I am, like the good person that I am. I'm outside today. It's freezing cold here in Edinburgh, Scotland. I've got my lovely peppermint tea, which has only been out here for 10 minutes and is already... Actually, it's still quite hot. Anyway, in this video, you can read, can't you? Fucking hell, let's get to it. So number 10 is this. This is from Parfums de Marly, a classic on this channel. It's called Herod. Do they not know? Do you not know? I'm trying to... I'm an influencer! It's Herod by Parfums de Marly. Oh, fuck off! You're just going to have to deal with it, alright? You told me to do outside videos and now here we are. Why is it coming from there and it was coming from... Right, okay. Anyway. Today I'm talking about Herod by Parfums de Marly. Great fragrance. You've heard me talk about it quite a few times. I mean, to be fair, it's a little bit sus wearing something called Herod as we're on the way to Christmas, but, you know, what can you do? Amazing kind of like, I always said that it kind of smelled like Nutella. Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe it's maturated or matured or something in the bottle after all these years, but the spices are, like, they can really breathe. So when I first got this bottle of Herod, the spices were very dark and clamored, and the black peppercorn was very rigid, and it definitely had that Nutella kind of hazelnut spread, but that smell is actually lovely. The spices have really opened up and it's a lot more breathable. Maybe it's just that it's just so cold that it really is opening up and becoming almost like a cooling fragrance in a way. But Herod, yeah, an amazing fragrance that I've been wearing a lot still to this day, and you know, it lasts so long. The projection longevity is just so damn good that I really don't feel as though I have to put a lot of sprays on. And if you're into densely packed fragrances that have got a lot of colour, a lot of vibrance, can really shout and can really be loud and really survive the cold climate, then I would totally recommend Herod. So number 9 is Xerjoff's 400. So the reason why Herod and Xerjoff 400 are lower down the list is it's just not really kind of been my vibe, you know, like really crazy, insane, heavy hitters. Apart from one exception, actually, there is an exception. Xerjoff 400 is a almost feminine white floral fragrance. I always have got patchouli, even though patchouli's not listed. It's actually more of a vanilla white floral smell, but I never really kind of got that. I actually got like an intense like patchouli or jasmine incense stick from 400 with a lot of vanilla in the base. If you're a big fan of incense sticks, you know, like high quality musky jasmine patchouli incense sticks, and I really would recommend 400 to you. I would also recommend Misfit by Arquieste. I have not been talking about that a lot this season, mostly because I don't actually know where that bottle is. Since we moved from the Isle of Wight to Edinburgh, I don't know where that is, and that's quite upsetting because I really love that fragrance. But this is a jasmine patchouli bomb to me with a lot of vanilla and a good amount of incense, and amazing for this period of time, amazing for this time of year. So a great fragrance, very expensive. It is a Xerjoff, but that also means you get a lot of high quality, and yeah, something to definitely write home about. This is a little bit lower on the list because this is Spice Bomb Extreme by Viktor and Rolf. This is lower down on the list because I do love this, right? I think it's an amazing fragrance. It's got that kind of tobacco vanille spicy smell. You can compare it to Bulgari Man in Black. You can also compare it to Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. It's got a lot of cinnamon, got a lot of ginger, got a lot of the Christmas spices. In fact, this is kind of like if you had the tobacco and the luxurious vanilla from Tobacco Vanille, and then you mixed a load of allspice in there, then that's kind of what this smells like to me. But I've been trying to wear it a lot recently, and I think it is a compelling fragrance, but I just think that it's so synthetic compared to what I've got these days. A little bit crispy. I don't know if Calone is in here, which is an aroma chemical that just makes things just kind of fuzzy and almost plasticky. I don't know if that's in here. I'd love to know if somebody does know that, but there is something in here that is synthetic that has really been putting me off wearing it this year. And again, it's not a bad fragrance at all, and some people can totally get past that, but you know, with the lineup and the fragrances that are coming up after this are just so vivid. They have so much better quality ingredients in them, and so I've not really been into Spicebomb Extreme as much this year, I have to openly admit. Next one is a fragrance that I've been really trying to sort of defend. I'm like an apologist for this fragrance. This is A City on Fire by Imaginary Authors. And you know, like, I think that this is a wonderful, misunderstood, underappreciated fragrance. One of the big complaints that people say about this is that it's just one-dimensional. It just smells like a matchstick on fire, and that's your lot in life. I mean, I'm trying to make a freaking video here, but to me it is not as one-dimensional as people say. I think that the dry down is one of the most underappreciated and underrepresented and under-respected dry downs in the entirety of FragCon. The dry down is sweet, it's got berries, it's got labdanum, not powdery, it is... and the texture is just so interesting. It's not powdery, it's not sandy, it's not salty, it's not even too sweet. There's just a smoothness that's in the dry down of this that is very sexy, very arousing, and just, I don't know, it just smells of kind of like a sexy, kind of cool guy, summer night kind of vibe that's in here. It's a fascinating fragrance. There's so much to explore with it, and people just don't explore with this fragrance, and people don't give it a chance. They just write it off as, you know, a one-dimensional gimmicky, you know, matchstick fire smell, when I really think that there is so much that this could give to someone and they don't even fully know it. You know what I've realized over these past 10 years that I've been doing this? I'm not really the biggest fan of oud. You know, I've really given it a chance and I've really tried. You know, there are some of you who are like mad oud lovers, and I completely respect that. I respect the grit, I respect the earthiness, and I get it. Like, oud is such a compelling idea to me, but, you know, I was doing a fragrance consultation last night, and somebody was like, what is oud? And I was trying to explain to them what oud was, and I was like, okay, so when an agarwood tree gets sick, it produces this pus, and the pus fights the infection and the bacteria of the agarwood tree, and that's oud. And I knew that, and I've explained that to people many times, but as I said it that one time, I was like, that is so fucking weird. Isn't that just the weird... Is this safe? And isn't it, like, ironic that... So, you know, like, imagine an alien race came down and they wanted to make perfume, and then they found us, and then somebody gets a burn wound or something like that, and you have that pussy, awful, you know, globe thing that's made, or that dome of pus that's made, and they just, like, took that out and were like, we could make a fragrance out of this. And that is pretty much what us humans decided to do with oud, with the agarwood tree. It is essentially pus, or something like that, and we decided to do that. And what's even weirder is that IFRA will ban so many different ingredients. They've banned different types of lavenders, they've banned oak moss, for crying out loud, but they won't ban the sick pus from an injured tree or a sick tree. Very, very weird shenanigans going on with IFRA. But anyway, this is my favourite oud fragrance at the moment. And to some of you, that's going to be complete basic bitch territory. I completely understand. I get where you're coming from. But this is Oud Paleo by Diptyque. Smells kind of like Oud Isfahan, as in it's this very, very grounded, cold as ice, smooth oud with some great sweet and almost tart rose in here, that just comes together. The blending is fantastic. It's a total traditionalist Diptyque fragrance. It's totally a Diptyque take on oud, and it's interesting. And if you're somebody who wants to get into oud but doesn't really know where to start, well, I would actually recommend Oud Satin Mood. That's a great place to start with it, especially if you like sweet designer fragrances. But if you want to kind of go up a notch and you want to go up a level and you want to experiment a little bit more with oud, I would highly recommend Oud Player by Diptyque. Okay, so everybody knows that I love this fragrance to death. This is Zaharoff's Tabak. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. The CEO of Christmas, as I call it. Some people don't like it. Some people say that it smells just like an ashtray. My mum used to smoke when she was in her 40s, and this does not smell like an ashtray. I get where they're coming from, but this smells like a super clean, herby tobacco with just the most luxurious bright vanilla going. A great, great combination. And just so sweet and has that Christmas vibe that Tobacco Vanille gives me, but it's sleeker, it's chicer. If you're a fan of Christmas smells, if you're a fan of the desserts and the Christmas cakes, and especially the whiskey liqueur Drambuie, I would highly recommend Tobacco. Also recommend Tobacco Vanille, but there is just something about this that is so professional. It just feels like the professional standard of tobacco is just so high. It just feels as though this is almost could be like an office scent, but this smells to me like a professional businessman. For those of you who understand, to me, in the professional setting, Tobacco Vanille is AEW and this is WWE. A more professional, succinct company that actually know what they're fucking doing with their product. And then we come to the Christmas horse poop fragrance, which I love, Tom Ford Noir Extreme. I've talked about this a lot. I feel as though I've really kind of explained exactly what I feel with this. But if you don't know, if those of you who are not familiar, so this reminds me a little bit of the Doctor Who audio play Chimes of Midnight. Even if you're not familiar with Doctor Who, it's just a great audio drama that I would highly recommend that you try out, that you listen to on Christmas Eve. It's very, very compelling, very, very entertaining. So the Doctor and his companion land in an old Victorian house in the 1800s, and on the ground floor there's the scullery maids, there's the chefs, there's the cooks, making preparations for Christmas Day. It's Christmas Eve when they've got there, and there's this ambience in the air. There's this excitement for Christmas, and there's all these sweets and treats similar to Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum. And so you got the vanilla, you got the treats similar to Tobacco Vanille, similar to tobacco. You've got the sweets and the vanilla and the Drambuie and the whiskey liqueurs and the chocolates and everything like that. But on the first floor of this house, there is a ominous presence that is trying to manipulate the story, this Christmas story, into a vicious sort of horror story, something untoward. It has a real dark agenda, and that is what Tom Ford Noir Parfum Extreme is to me. It is a beautiful Christmas story, a Charles Dickens Christmas story with the vanillas, with the chocolates, with the spices, all that, but there is this like oody, fecal, skanky, deep smell that is like this ominous force that has kind of got its claws over the Christmas story. Also similar to the film and story Krampus. It's kind of like that vibe, or A Violent Night. It's kind of like these films that are coming out that are based on Christmas, but they're actually horror films, and they have a dark twist on what is conventionally a very magical and wonderful period. That to me is what Noir Extreme Parfum does to the genre of Christmassy winter fragrances. But if we want to go all out with that kind of vibe, then Aaron Terence Hughes' Tabak is 100% something that you should try. If you're bored with traditional Tobacco Vanille fragrances, fragrances that are too jolly and too nice, and you just want to fuck shit up, I would highly recommend this. It is dark, it is deep, it is groggy, it is frosty, it is cold, it is embittered. It's a very, very heavy tobacco fragrance with a lot of the conventional Aaron Terence Hughes craziness that's in here. This is a very, very advanced player's fragrance, if you will. This is not for somebody who just got into the game. If you want the hard stuff, if you want the heroin of fragrances, and I've met a lot of people in my consultations who just want the really, really deep, crazy stuff, then I would highly recommend that you do that. I want to give a huge shout out at this point to Patreon gang. Thank you so much. Because of you guys, I was able to buy the new Google Pixel 8, which is just such a relief, because my old phone was falling apart, and I wanted a phone that had that could record audio very well, which it is doing with this video, and a phone that had a really good camera. This has a 4K like 26 megapixel camera or something along those lines, so I can now do a lot more outdoor videos with this. And this has also made my fragrance consultations easier. It's made my whole entire fragrance apprentice career so much easier. So thank you so much to Patreon gang. If you want to support my videos, if you love my videos, I would please ask that you consider joining Patreon gang. We have a Discord on there. There's a really great group of people on there, a fantastic non-toxic part of the fragrance community. If you're looking for recommendations, if you're looking to connect with like-minded people, then Patreon gang is fantastic. Extra content on there, and again, you're literally helping me create these videos. I was able to get the new Google Pixel 8 because of Patreon gang. I'm so grateful. But look, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do a monthly thing or whatever, totally understand. I still have my PayPal info at thefragrancepress.co.uk. If you just want to give me a tip on there, I'd really appreciate it. It was so helpful. Okay, so final two here. Can't believe that we've sped through this really. So I think that these two are some of the best fragrances in the game at the moment, especially cold weather fragrances. One is very new, it came out this year, and the other one is an absolute classic. So let's go for the brand new one. Why, oh why, is no one talking as much as they should about Elixir by Centauri? You know, people always say to me all the time, they're like, I want deep, dark, long-lasting fragrances. This is the most long-lasting fragrance in my entire collection. An insane, boozy, spicy. There's almost like it's kind of like whiskey. It's kind of like, okay, I'll tell you what this is. This is like having an Indian, I don't know, maybe not a tikka masala, but like a madras, or even a tandoori chicken, and then drinking a really high quality Scotch whiskey. And then you've also got some vanilla that makes it all come together. But this is like having an Indian and a whiskey. Now, your stomach is going to be very upset, and you might need to take some Pepto-Bismol after such a concoction. But with this, you won't be getting any diarrhea or any stomach pains, because it is literally going to be something that you wear. A really unique fragrance, a long-lasting fragrance, and a fragrance that's completely bodied the winter and cold weather chills. This has completely warmed me up. It is devastating even out here in the cold. People will totally notice you. The curry smell isn't as bad as it sounds. It doesn't smell like you've just put a ton of tandoori spice on you, because again, it's got that tandoori kind of spice, but there's also a really thick vanilla layer, and that whiskey boozy smell puts it together. This is a very hard-hitting fragrance. This is a masculine fragrance, one of the best releases of the year, I'd say, and well done to Peter for creating that. But my number one fragrance, I've talked about this recently with the fact that I'm running out of it. I actually thought it was discontinued. It's apparently not discontinued, but even so, I've had 10 years worth of this fragrance nearly. I've loved every second of it. I've been wearing it so much, and by the end of the winter I will be out of this bottle, and I may never repurchase it again. Not because I don't like it, I love it, but it's harder to find. I think it's been reformulated, not terribly, but still it's not what it once was. But you can still find bottles of this, and so I wanted to give it a big send-off. This is my send-off to this fragrance in a way. Some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. An amazing fragrance, one of the best fragrances that Christian Dior ever released. It's Fève Délicieuse by Dior. Look at how much is left. This has been through a lot with me. You can see that the R has disappeared a little bit. It's been eroded, so it looks as though it says Christian Diop. But no, I mean, a beautiful, amazing praline, vanilla, fluffy, textured, clean, powdery, somewhat smell. Luke from Patreon gang, if you're watching, I would highly recommend that you try out Fève Délicieuse if you have not already. I think that you'd think that this was absolutely stunning. One of the greatest winter fragrances of all time. In my opinion, the best use of tonka ever. The best use of praline almost by default, as it's an underused note, an underappreciated note. But one of the greatest fragrances of all time, one of the greatest winter fragrances of all time, probably top 3 in winter fragrances of all time in my book, and should probably be on the Mount Rushmore of gourmands. Welcoming, inviting, sexy, warming, compliment-getting, 100%. It's got everything that you could want, and especially if you're a gourmand lover. If you're somebody who's really into masculine and harder leather, tougher oudi fragrances, then this isn't probably going to work for you. But if you're open to a bit more of the metrosexual, fluffy, happy-go-lucky, cold weather fragrances, how have you not tried this yet? Anyway, those are my winter fragrances. Check out Patreon, gang. We'd love to see you on there. But until I see you in the next one, I'm the Fragrance Brace, and I'm cold.